Oh me, oh my, I am really taking my life into my own hands now. No, I'm just walking towards Chinatown. I want to bring to you guys, I've passed it a few times, so I want to bring to you guys a story of the Grove Hotel. Today, the Grove Hotel is getting a massive facelift as it's being converted into a boutique hotel, which includes a renovation of the original hotel building as well as a 9-story high extension on its backside. The plan is clear that this new updated hotel will hopefully help improve conditions in what is Portland's struggling Chinatown neighborhood. Mired by decades of poor economic output and streets lined with drug addicts, alcoholics, and homelessness comprised of both addicts and the mentally ill, who literally have nowhere else really to go. And interestingly enough, before its present state, the Grove Hotel was the major go-to place for those struggling and stuck living in the Chinatown area. This is that story. Now, the Grove Hotel is located just a few blocks down from here, along Burnside, and it used to be known as the Hotel Phillip, and it was a kind of average-looking hotel building that was just kind of along the main drag here. However, when they expanded Burnside here, I believe in 1930, they had to cut back these buildings, so they literally cut the front half off of the hotel. So today, it's a very thin structure. Built in 1907 and originally named the Phillip Hotel, the Grove Hotel stands along West Burnside Street between 4th and 5th Avenues. It was fairly successful early on in an area that was populated primarily by Portland's Japanese immigrant population. Initially twice as large, the first major change to this area, in its gradual descent, was the internment of Japanese immigrants during World War II. This turned the Chinatown area into an almost ghost town overnight, and it's never really recovered. By the 1970s and into the 80s, the area became, as many call it, the hellhole that it still represents in many ways today. The Grove Hotel went right down with it. The same owners controlled the hotel for decades, and apparently as long as the rent checks kept coming in, there was little concern for the state of this place. As the streets filled with forgotten people, some addicts, some mentally ill, some just homeless and hopeless, they began to fill the Grove. And in its last several years, it served as a contemporary model for a flophouse, only much worse. In the late 2000s, city personnel visited the old hotel as reports began coming out as to its state. They couldn't have been prepared for what they'd see. The hotel had become, in essence, a putrid, smelly, dangerous death trap. Most of its inhabitants, miserable and forgotten, some were so mentally ill that they hardly even knew where they were, but could still grasp that it was hell. Some lived in rooms with busted-out windows, trash in piles, urine jugs doubling as toilets, rats and bugs literally everywhere. Some tenants' body parts had been swollen by infection from bed bugs that ran rampant in the building. In one case, a male tenant had passed out and wet his bed so many times that it had ripped through the mattress's material, exposing springs from within. Only minutely monitored, the site also became a haven for drug dealing and abuse, as well as prostitution. There was no sprinkler system or fire alarms in the building. Smoke detectors hung, their batteries long since dead. The structure was tight and cramped after its alterations back in the 1930s. A massive fire outbreak would have spelled likely death for all the Grove's inhabitants. There were even reports of asbestos found in the old hotel. This meant, beyond mental illness, alcohol and drug addiction, and life generally in a biohazardous death house,
the inhabitants also faced potential asbestos exposure. The story of the Grove Hotel in these later years is beyond tragic and infuriating, considering how long it existed like this with nobody looking into it, nobody caring. When members of the city finally took notice, it sparked controversy between them and the hotel's owner, the owner who took in some $20,000 to $30,000 a month from tenants who's mostly survived on disability money and social security checks. And yet, the owner spent practically nothing on upkeep for years upon years in this building, allowing the people there to literally live in their own filth for their $500 plus a month. Ultimately, the owner would give in to pressure, and in 2010, the property was sold to the Portland Development Commission for $3.7 million. The city tried to help the tenants that were already there by lowering rents and clearing out the trash. At the same time, the moment a given room was vacated, the city slapped a tag on the door, condemning the room from being lived in. While this did protect people from the likely squalor that existed within these rooms, it also cut off an affordable housing option in a city drastically lacking in such opportunities. After an effort to transition the hotel into a trendy hostel went south, the next plan was put in motion in 2015 through workings with a New York-based financial firm. As of now, the new, expanded hotel, set to be called the Hoxton and to open in later 2018, is still under construction. The hope is a hotel such as this will make waves in revitalizing an area in dire need of such action. Alas, as I've felt since the plans first went into motion, I think this hotel will do little to help the neighborhood around it. It'll just do what Portland's become a little too good at in recent years, providing those with the cash another option in a rather unappealing area, while depleting another potential source of affordable housing for those without. Until real change is implemented, this will still be an area rife with homeless addicts and the mentally ill who, as time goes by, find they have fewer and fewer places to go in this, quote, city that works.